Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Player Stake, episode 196. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host, Montrell Rice. Montrell, how you doing this week?
I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I mean, better than last week. I'm 1 day away from vacation, so I'm ready. I'm ready to go right now. I'm in kind of gaming bliss right now, I feel like, too, so it's good.
Okay.
Things are good, I got multiple games that are all kind of hitting for me, and I'm excited to talk about those in a few. But yeah, things are pretty good. So I'm excited about Thanksgiving next week. Got some plans for the weekend, and then I'm gonna be cooking my chicken cutlets for Thanksgiving dinner next week. So I think it's gonna be a good week. What about you, man? How's life?
It's been okay. We were gonna have a guest, or I was gonna ask you. DJ was supposed to join us, or he wanted to join us, but fortunately he experienced the loss, which kind of affected me as well. Fortunately,
That's
Unbreon
unfortunate.
passed.
Oh, sorry.
His cat.
His cat. Oh no.
Yeah. So Umbreon was the reason I like cats.
Yeah.
So that kind of hit me hard too. She was only 5.
Damn.
She had heart disease, so there was no
way
way they could have known because it was like a silent thing. So
yeah.
So that hit me hard yesterday, and I spent a little extra time with my cats last night. So I am tired today, but I was kind of like up all night with them, just like cuddling them and everything like that.
Man, I'm gonna go find Miss Kitty after this. And
yeah, yeah, just
man. No, I know the pain of loss on a pet. It sucks, dude.
But besides that,
well,
I mean,
DJ, if you're listening, I hope you're doing all right, man.
Yeah. But besides that, I mean, I've actually been in like a gaming. I don't want to say funk, but like at a stalemate because I it's 2 great games I want to play. It's just like I get nervous like whichever one I want to play. I don't know which one I want to play, so I just like don't play them. Which
you get
is
into
weird.
analysis paralysis.
Yeah,
that happened to me yesterday. I just sat, dude. I was playing Genshin, doing like the dailies and shit, and it was like 10:30 or something, and I was like, man, it's kind of late. I'm like tired already, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, okay, do I just want to keep playing Genshin and just like get through some story quests and stuff, or do I want to play Takisoger? And I just literally sat there running around in Genshin for 15 minutes debating this in my head, like without playing the game or doing anything productive in the game. I just
yeah.
So I know what you're talking about, man. It's bad.
Yeah, so I'm at that state with like my games right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish it. I think I'm just gonna finish God of War before like Twitter spoils me because there are people already posting like platinum trophies and shit like that, and I'm like, bro, the game just came out. But yeah, so that's been my week. I mean, besides that, like work and life, it's been pretty cool. I should be clear for this weekend. I'll let you know by by tomorrow. I think we're just gonna take it to the shop or whatever. So if that's the case, then yeah, I'm just gonna do that. And
what he's referencing is board game night at my house. We're gonna be playing Mage Night, which is
I love that game.
to this day. I know you do, because it's like the only thing, like the fact that it got you out of hibernation in that group chat was like notable. Like Tyler was like, I was like, I thought Montreal forgot he was even in this group chat, but no, Mage Knight is it's a board game. It's been out for a long time now. I want to say 10 years probably. But dude, it is to this day, and I mean, I play a lot of board games. I have played a lot. It is to this day probably still the best designed board game I've ever played. Like, it is just so well balanced, and the pacing of it is excellent, and it's just like, it's so fucking rewarding to play. Like, it's such a great board game. So I'm excited.
I feel like it's really easy for like newbies and experts to get into. Like it's really good.
It's really complicated. It's funny because it's really complicated. Like at its face, it's probably really intimidating because there's a lot of components, a lot of different features, a lot of things you have to learn. But I think the thing is, the game is so intuitively designed; those things all work together so well, like so seamlessly, that
Yep.
once you start learning it, you're like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Like it all fucking fits together. Like most board games like aren't that intuitive. It is truly a master class in like game design, dude, to me. It's just it's so fucking good. So I'm actually excited to play. We haven't played in like 6 months. So but yeah, we may have 5 people too to playing. So we're gonna
Nice.
have to play Dennison's character before he shows up though. He's gonna be a little bit late. So yeah. But all right. Well, let's get into the show proper. For those of you who have not listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com, and we will answer it on the show. All right, Montrell, let's get in. First, we have an announcement to make real quick. So next week is Thanksgiving in the United States, and we have never done this, not intentionally. We've never done this. We are actually going to be taking the week off next week, so Thanksgiving week. So on 11/25, that is next Friday, a week from when you're listening to this. If you listen to it when it posts, there will be no episode of the show. We're just taking a little. We're gonna both off from work, I believe. I think you're going out of town, right? You said.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, we're both gonna be on vacation. I think we are both we just kind of want to take a break. So for the week, we will be back the week after with the normal regular episode on 12/2, so December 2nd, with 2 weeks of news to cover there. So this is kind of a thing we've never done. I think it's something we may do it going forward on one of the holidays. This year it kind of fell on Thanksgiving for both of us, that we're both kind of taking that week off, but it may be Christmas in the future. I think it's just to kind of give ourselves something, some kind of break somewhere in the year. We never do that. This will be the first week we are going to miss an upload since the third week we've been doing this podcast, and we are nearly on episode fucking 200. So trust me when I say this is not like we're not going to make this a regular thing, but we're just, we were talking and kind of wanted to do this year, so the timing
Yeah.
was right. So but okay, Montreal, I have an icebreaker written here that we forgot to talk about last week. I know you wanted to talk about it with me. So I finished Rings of Power a couple weeks ago, the Lord of the Rings show from Amazon, and I know you wanted to talk about it to kind of get my thoughts on it. And um, I know part of this has to do with our friend group, because we have a couple friends who are like vehemently against the show. Like they just don't want to give it the time of day or the chance, really. Um, and they're like, they kind of like preconceived notions about it. I think a lot of people are like this with this show. And I got through it and I watched it over the course of like a week and a half, probably to 2 weeks. And I enjoyed it, dude. I like this show. I like the show. I mean, I call fucking. I'm sure I would get a lot of hate for this if we had had a big following, but yeah, I mean, as somebody who really likes Lord of the Rings, and is very into Lord of the Rings, I didn't find anything hyper offensive about it, in terms of lore inconsistencies or some of the events that happened within the show. I think for the most part, I thought it was overall pretty solid. I enjoyed every episode. I like the characters. The fact that I think the thing, if you're not in the Lord of the Rings and you watch this show, I think a lot of people would not like it because it is very slow. Like it is an extremely slow show, like insane. Like over the course of an episode, not very many things will happen. But I like that because Lord of the Rings is slow. The movies
Yeah.
are slow, the books are slow. That's just always been their cadence. And I kind of appreciate that they kind of captured that essence with this show quite a bit. And I think in terms of the characters, for the most part, I liked almost everybody in this show, and that's actually hard to pull off, in my opinion. very few shows that I don't that I like everybody, you know? And
Yeah.
I'm like trying to think of a character I didn't really like. I mean, most of them, yeah, I guess this is more of a like a villain thing would be Durin's dad, father, the king of the dwarves. He's but it's not because I don't like him as a character, I just don't like the way he acts, you know. I think he's well played and everything like that. So I think overall I'm okay with the show. In terms of the story that happens in the show, I like it. I think it was a good setup for future seasons.
Hmm.
Specifically, and we're gonna get in a little bit of spoilers here. The end of episode 6 when Mount Doom erupts, which they don't tell you it's Mount Doom, but it's Mount Doom. Mount Doom erupts and fucking creates Mordor. Basically, I
Yeah.
thought that was a really cool moment. You know, like it was very interesting to watch that and realize what was happening and where they were. You know, and be like, oh shit, that is this is now Mordor, you know? And I mean they tell you that in the next episode, but I think it was well done and um I don't know. I just like I don't really understand the hate for this show cuz the hate is real, dude. Like people like it's to the point that I see
Yeah.
articles for this show all the time talking about how they're going to reboot this series. They're done. These showrunners are already going to
Really?
these showrunners are done. I see this shit on my feed all the time on Google, dude. And I'm like, I don't get it because I'm like, it's not. Even if you think it's bad, it's like it's not that. Like, what is so bad about it? You know, the performances are good. The presentation for the most part is good. There is some goofy choreography with Galadriel at times for sure, in the like some of the fight sequences. But I mean, you know, not
Yeah.
most
I just
shows
think it's like
don't do a good job with that anyways. So yeah,
Yeah, I just think is when I was watching, I'm like, oh, this is standard Lord of the Rings shit. Like it's kind of corny, and I
yeah.
appreciate it for what it is. Like not corny, tropey. That's the word I was looking for. So I was like, I appreciate
Yeah, but
that.
Lord of the Rings is like the origination of these tropes, right? So,
That's what I'm saying,
if
and
anything
that's why
gets
I
to
think
be
it
tropey,
gets
it's
away
Lord of
with
the
it.
Rings, right? Like,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know, yeah. So I don't
So
have
I
it.
don't know. I hope they don't reboot the series at all. Like
Mhm.
I actually like it a lot. I don't see what the issue was. I think a lot of people saw the trailer for it. They saw the black elf and they're like, "Oh, it's woke now," and it's
Yeah.
like it's
Well, not
actually
only the
not.
Black Elf, but the Black Queen of the
Oh
human
yeah, I
city
forgot
of
about her. Yeah,
Numenor, right? Yeah, and I think you're hitting on it right there. I think that's I think that like is the thing that people grabbed onto. And it is such an annoying trend, I think, with fantasy because I want to talk about real quick. You know, we didn't talk about this on the show, I don't think, but Yoshi P gave an interview with
yeah,
IGN a few weeks
yeah.
ago, and they asked him a very baity question. I don't like the way they framed the
It was a
question,
baby question.
and
Yeah,
I don't think I think his answer is as good of an answer as you're going to give if you're going to say we're not putting people of color in our game. But I think at the same time I don't like the fact that everybody was like just like I felt like the people that were on Yoshi P's side were like yeah fucking no, this is an incredible answer, you know, fucking it's just like weird. It was weird to me. It's weird to me that people don't realize how like specifically in fantasy that black characters in fantasy are just not well represented in the sense that because I like almost I don't want to call it a joke necessarily, but every time me and you talk about this, I always bring this up is that the black characters in these shows don't have to be these fucking like turban wearing, you know, people from the desert. Like, why is that always the way they are, you know? And it's like that's what was disappointing for me out of Yoshi P's answer is that he was kind of presenting it like that would be the way they would have to be integrated. You know, it's like he was like, it doesn't make sense within this landmass that's like traditional medieval Europe setting. And it's like, bro, it's fantasy. It's your made up world. Like it doesn't. This is something I don't understand. Is like I get it. He can do what he wants, right? He's the creator, right? There, it's your
yep.
story, your world. You can build your lore however you want. I think my thing is just we have to like recontextualize the way we think about this though. Is that it is fantasy made up, literally made up. You can make your world whatever you want. So I'm not saying you have to forcibly put representation in. I'm definitely not saying that. Like, because you don't. It's everybody's creative world is their own creative world, right? But at the same time, I don't think like I think the way we view fantasy is like because most fantasy that I've ever experienced, because even in Lord of the Rings, it's like this. The races that are black in Lord of the Rings are from the desert. Like every time, it's like, and I mean, Lord of the Rings, right, is the trope that started all the tropes. Like, is the place where all the tropes started. So maybe that's part of it. But that's
Yeah.
my thing with this show is when there was a black elf and then this black queen, and everybody reacts so vehemently against that, and they're like, like you're saying, they're so like anti woke, quote unquote, with it. And I'm like, dude, it's not being. There's nothing woke about this. Does it materially change the story that fuck it that the elf is black and this queen is black? No,
Well,
it
my
has
thing
no
is
impact.
like
Like,
these are humans. It says mankind, so
yeah,
like black people are humans too. Asian people are humans too, and that's why I like
yeah,
the Numenor scene because it's like when they were showing it, it was not just black people and white people. It was like Asian people. They show all
yeah,
types of people
yeah,
in that kingdom.
yeah,
But my thing is like with the whole overarching thing, and that's probably why I had such a disdain. I didn't even realize it. Until like a couple of weeks ago. That's probably why I had such a disdain towards fantasies because it's
yeah,
like it was a lack of people that looked like me
yeah,
every time I played a fantasy game, unless I was playing like a creative character type deal. Um,
yeah.
so, uh, but like my thing is, people are all those comments too, especially with like Yoshi P. I'm like, bro, we got gods, we got magic, we got flying fucking
Right.
dragons, but oh, black people's where y'all draw the realism
Yeah, right.
token at, and it's like.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, right. It's
So
yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird that they decided to do that, right? And they all in every trope,
Oh my god.
everybody, even the Witcher series, which I love, right? They
Yeah,
do that shit too. And it's like,
yeah,
bro, we got
yeah.
goblins, we got fucking trolls and everything, right? But oh, let a black person be in the fucking kingdom that's not from the desert, yo. That's unrealistic, bro. Like that would never happen.
Right.
Like I don't know. It's just really weird.
That's kind of my point about fantasy. That like you said it beautifully, right? Is that it's fucking made up. There's giant trolls and goblins and fucking elves and dwarves and fucking hobbits and wizards and dragons and but oh, there's a black person or an Asian person in this show. Oh no, it's like fuck, come on, guys, like what, like why is this such a point of contention? It's just so fucking weird to me. It's totally fucking weird. Um,
I
because
don't
dude,
know.
like even in
Maybe
think about Game of Thrones, right? It's the same thing in Game of Thrones. They do the same shit. Like it's fucking it's insane. Like it's just I don't know. I think it's a slow thing. It's probably going to be a slow thing for it to turn. But
it's slowly turning for the best in my opinion. Like
yeah,
I start to see like my whole thing with like them doing representation or whatever is like just don't make it corny, don't make it forced or whatever.
right.
Even in Game of Thrones, I'm watching new Game of Thrones House of the Dragon. Like I didn't feel like it was forced. I feel like it was like the black characters were assholes as well. Like they
Yeah,
didn't just make them like to be righteous characters, because like we don't want to make the black people look bad, and it's like they made them just like any other character in the books and everything like
yeah,
that, and I appreciate that.
yeah. And I think
Um,
Rings of Power is the same way.
yeah, it does the exact same thing. It doesn't really, I don't know. It's just like those are the characters and whatever, and even other medias and everything like that. Like when I play like Dragon Age and everything like that, like when they have black elves and all that shit like that, like I don't feel a certain type of way when I see it. So, or I don't feel like it's shoehorned in. Rather, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't know. It's just a weird thing. When Yoshi P said that, I felt like it was a really first I'm thinking like, okay, well, like he's Eastern, he's Asian, so he doesn't really understand the dynamics of what's going on over here in the Western world like that.
yeah,
So he gave that explanation. He's just giving it from his point of view. Is like, well, that's always been what it is or whatever. But it's like I don't know. Do they not feel a certain type of way when every time I see a Asian person in a medieval thing, they always have like samurai clad armor, or they're like a
Or a
fucking
ninja.
ninja?
Yeah, they're a ninja
Yeah,
or a spy or something. Yeah,
yeah. So
right.
it's just
Yeah,
weird. I don't know.
yeah. No, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, um, so on the show as a whole, though, I do want to shout out. Like, I think the actress that plays Galadriel, is really good. I enjoyed her a lot. I enjoyed the Elrond as well. Him and Durin were a very funny duo.
Yeah,
I really like them. I really like the dwarves. Actually, the dwarven area in Khazad-dûm, which is really cool that we're seeing that like as it's like a vibrant society. And
yeah,
they did allude to the Balrog actually in the show. There was no payoff for that, but there was a moment where it like woke up, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm assuming if this show continues, then that destruction of Moria is probably going to happen at some point. But that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see too. So I mean, I thought it was good overall. I like the Harfoots as well. I like Nori and the wizard. Which so who do you think the wizard is?
I think it's Gandalf,
I
or
think
actually, not.
I'm
I,
positive it's Gandalf.
who was the guy inside of the tower in was it Two Towers who said you have no power here? He was fighting Gandalf.
Saruman.
Saruman. That's who
I
I
thought it
think it
was
is.
him
I
at
think it's
first. I thought it was him at first, but dude, at the end of the season when he started talking, he
mhm.
said some very Gandalfy lines. Like
Yeah,
what was he saying to Nori? I forget. It was something about I forget the exact line, but there's a line in their final scene together that he says, and I'm like, nah, bro, it's Gandalf. Like something goofy. Like he was talking about like smell or something like that, like following
yeah,
your nose
yeah,
or something. And
yeah. Because he said the same thing to the hobbits.
I think it literally is pulled out of Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I'm like that line is
Yeah,
literally from the Fellowship of the Ring. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I think I think it's Gandalf. Which is pretty cool, which is kind of cool actually. So um I did like the subversion too that Sauron is not the guy that was leading the orcs, because I thought he was Sauron for a while, in early on when he was first introduced, but to later find out he is not is actually really interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how Sauron like takes command of Mordor eventually.
yeah.
So that is kind of a cool subplot. I think the setup is good. I think the setup for future seasons is going to be very interesting. So
I
um,
just hope they continue on with it because I think, like I said, I think it's really good. I don't think this is a Witcher situation. I think they actually did this justice and
yeah,
everything. So I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. So all right,
Yeah, because I,
go
I
ahead.
was just I'm sorry, I was just if you go outside like your own bubble, right, and you look online, like
Yeah.
people hate this show, bro. Like,
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like dude, it's like if we were like I said, if we had a following at all, you know how much negative feedback we'd be getting on this discussion right now? Like it would be fucking insane. Like they would be flooding our inbox
yeah,
with it cuz yeah, people hate this fucking show. Like they hate it. So I think it's unfortunately I think we are in a vast minority on this, and I think Amazon probably is going to reboot it if they're going to want to continue with it, but which is disappointing because like, what does a reboot even look like? Do they keep all the same actors? Because I love most of the casting, dude. Like, so
I don't understand what you would reboot. I think what they did, the setup and everything is just phenomenal. It was almost like a love letter to the original trilogy, in my opinion.
yeah,
Like this wasn't The Hobbit or anything like that. Like
yeah,
people hate The Hobbit as well, and this wasn't The Hobbit. This was like Lord of the Rings. Like this was the shit. Like I don't know, and it's just a weird thing to me.
yeah. No, I agree. All right, Montrell, let's get into the show proper and start with what we've been playing. Do you want to go first this week?
Yeah, so I've been playing Apex Legends this week. Actually, I've only been playing Apex Legends. I play a little bit of God of War and a little bit of Sonic.
Okay.
Um,
Been
both of them
playing Apex
I'm at.
solo queue.
Yeah, I have.
Oh
Uh,
shit. Okay.
yeah, because nobody was online, and I just really wanted to play it because I've been watching Apex videos and shit, and I wanted to test my skill out.
Poor
Some of the
Brad.
shit I've been watching.
Poor Brad. It's been not.
I just don't want to play Overwatch. Like I love Overwatch. I just didn't feel like playing it, bro.
No, I know,
Like
but he
and
probably would have
then
played Apex with you.
nah, he wouldn't have played Apex with me.
Yeah, maybe not.
Uh,
I don't know. Okay.
So I don't know.
I mean, are you digging it playing it solo? Like, do you enjoy playing it solo?
Actually, I play against people more my level.
Yeah.
But which is really weird. So this is the weird thing about solos, right? I'm getting the predators on my team, like masters and predators on my team. I am the attacking team that we hate every time. Every time we queue up, I'm the attacking team that people hate.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's so weird being on the other side because I actually hate it myself because it makes it boring. Because like these guys know exactly where to go, what to do, and everything like that. So it makes the whole experience kind of boring.
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they're bored out their mind too. So I can see why they hate it on their side as well. Because I see people like on the pro side or on the masters and predator side, like complaining about it as well. So I don't know. It's just really weird that that I see that dichotomy now. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, solos is a different story. Like, uh, it's hard to communicate with people when to push and when not to push. So I have to rely on my own judgment, and I have to like use like their movements as a base of where to
Pay
go and
attention to your
everything.
team. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I'm learning different play styles because of that. So when I play with y'all, like it actually benefits us when I play because I can adjust to different play styles and when to go in and when not to go in, stuff like that. Because we're actually communicating. So
Yeah.
um and
Well, so
everything like
you
that.
are you
So
on comms with these people or
something nobody talks, we just all use pings.
pings? Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So question for you though: are we already done with Overwatch too?
No, no.
You don't think
I'm not
so?
done with it.
Okay,
Nah.
because we haven't been playing much lately, at least from my perspective. And the last time I played and we were in a group, it was pretty miserable night overall. Like
Well, that's because we decided to do competitive. And I told y'all I did not want to do competitive because it becomes real sweaty after that.
yeah,
Apex
I didn't think it
Legends
was
had
that.
not Apex, but Overwatch suffers from the same thing, and it was actually pretty easier in my opinion. Than when we were playing with like DJ because DJ is a higher elo, so it was pretty easier. But it was still really sweaty in my opinion.
No.
And
Yeah, I
I
just
don't know.
don't.
I
I don't
play.
know. I think it's just like, I think it. I don't know. Like we don't. The game requires a high level of team coordination, and I just think there's some nights where we do not coordinate well at all. We're all just doing
Yeah,
our own thing, dude. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And those nights where it doesn't is, oh god, it's bad. It's just loss after loss after loss.
yeah, and we and
Um,
we have to learn how to play different champions and everything like that. And I think some people don't want to learn how to play different champions, and
yeah, I know. I'm already falling into that trap because we don't play that often. So I'm like, yeah, man, I'm just gonna play Junker Queen and like Diva and Sojourn and Anna, and that's like it. Those are my characters. you know.
yeah, exactly.
So
So we just gotta play the game more, and I'm down to play it more and everything like that nature. Is just uh, I don't know.
you want the full five, right?
Yeah, I went to full five. I don't think it's fun with like a rando. I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
agree.
always fun with like five people.
Yeah.
It's a good party game to me, in my opinion. Like that's when we play five, and this is probably why I don't like playing it competitively because it just reminds me of like when I played it back in the day and it first came out,
Yeah.
and people were just having fucking fun. Like we were just having so much fun playing the game,
Hmm.
whether we lost or we won or whatever. It was just fun. And even when we were playing unranked and we lose, like we can always play the next game and we dominate or whatever, or whatever the case may be. So I don't know. Maybe I just got to get back into the competitive spirit of
Hmm.
Overwatch. But the thing is, I never really had a competitive spirit for Overwatch. I love playing the game for fun. Like it was always a for fun
Yeah.
game for me.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
yeah.
it's a huge change for me.
Yeah, I do like Overwatch. I wish we would play some other stuff though. Like I kind of wish we'd play Fall Guys more. I remember that random night we just played Fall Guys. Like I don't remember, that was months ago now. But dude, like I had so much fun playing that. With you guys. Like
Oh, that shit is so funny.
it
Yeah,
was so
I'll be
funny.
down
It
to play
was
that.
yeah. I don't know why we don't play it more because I was like, dude, I had a fucking blast. It was hilarious. Like watching Jet play and like. This is the derpy movement and stuff like it's just a funny ass game, man. I enjoy it. I actually really like Fall Guys. So I kind of wish we'd play that more, and I'm kind of really hoping that Paragon, this new Paragon game, is good, and we kind of take off with it, because I really want to play a MOBA with you guys.
Yeah.
I really do, but we cannot come to a consensus on which one we're gonna play.
Yeah.
And it's like super annoying, because I think we would have a lot of fun playing MOBAs together. Actually, like I really believe that. Like if we had a group of 5, like a steady group of 5, but
Yeah.
we just cannot seem to pick, because you don't want to play Dota, and Brad is like super into Dota now, and Jet doesn't want to play Dota either. But I'm kind of like on League, but I kind of every time I try it with you guys, I'm like sort of into it, but I'm like it's okay. So I
Well,
don't know.
Andy doesn't want to play League at all.
Yeah,
So
Andy doesn't want to play League at all, and neither does DJ. So I don't know. I'm kind of hoping Paragon like grabs all of us, and we're there. But like I've wanted to play it all week, but I just like I haven't wanted to log in to the Discord. I've been tired, so
yeah.
but maybe tonight after we're done recording here. Um, all right. Anything else you've been playing you want to talk about? God of War, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been playing God of War. The story is just taking a long time to get into. It's a really good story, but it's just
How many
taking
hours
a
are you
long
in?
time to maybe 6,
Yeah.
7
Okay.
hours. Yeah.
I'm
So
having a similar experience.
yeah, and everyone keeps telling me, especially DJ, he's like, "Yo, just just get through it." I really, once again, even in the game cinematics, they express hate for the elf world, and I hate the elf world. So, um,
Yeah.
I was glad to do one side mission and get the hell up out of there because I absolutely
Well,
have disdain for that
I'm
world.
I'm I think I don't know. I don't want to get like super deep into this yet, because we're not me and you aren't very far in the game, right? I'm like 4 hours in, I think, maybe.
Yeah,
And I've only played a couple sessions, but the thing is, the reason I've only played a couple sessions is kind of the game kind of lost me like very early. Is I don't think the early part of this game is that good, and it's like it doesn't compare to 2018 at all, in my opinion. I think they try to have the same structure as 2018, and they just like fall flat on their face with it.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
the first boss fight, that big boss fight they give you, is just not as good as the one from 2018. Like it does not hit the same way. And I think the fucking dwarf realm that you go to, they immediately put you in a 30-minute filler area, that could just be
Yeah,
straight up deleted out the game. And it sounds to me that this game has a lot of that in it. And it weirds me out that this game is getting 94s. As much as I fucking love 2018, dude. I think it's like one of the best games of the fucking generation, for PlayStation 4. But um, that doesn't mean this game automatically gets a pass just because it's like in the same vein. Like I'm already getting annoyed like playing it, where I'm like, oh god, like what, why is there's this giant 30-minute section where Kratos, there's like a huge section of that part of the game where Kratos doesn't say a word, you know and it's literally just Atreus talking and he barely talks too. He doesn't even say that much. It's just combat, puzzle, boat, combat, puzzle, boat, puzzle, boat. It's like, and it could just be taken out of the game, and I don't think it would make any difference. Like it wouldn't impact the
yeah.
game at all. It's just a waste of time, and I hate it when games do shit like that. It's padding. Like they just added padding to this game. They want like this is something I think Sony studios need to like stop kind of doing, because they're all doing it. Having played The Last of Us Part 2 recently, that game has padding for sure. That game is way too long, like straight up. As much as I love The Last of Us Part 2, I think it's an excellent game. That is my biggest
Hmm.
criticism of it, is that it's way too long of a game. It's like 25 fucking hours, 30 hours, which is insane for that kind of game. And this game now has padding. Fucking Horizon Forbidden West is just fucking full of padding, like insane amounts of it. Like to the point that like I feel like Sony's taken the wrong message out of the success they've had with their IPs, is that they need their games to be bigger, to have more content, to have more. And it's like, no, dude, don't dilute your quality with this shitty filler content, Like that makes your
Well,
game worse.
I think so. I think the issue is like when they try to improve stuff, they get a huge amount of backlash. I mean, look at The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that significantly improved the story and gameplay of The
Yeah.
Last of Us 1.
Yeah.
Um,
And
of
nobody
course they
thinks
could have.
that. That is like that's a
Yeah,
minority opinion. Yeah.
exactly. Of course they could have changed some things up, changed the structure of it. I mean, we can critique that all day, but I think the game was superior than if they wanted to make a superior product than The Last of Us One, they did it.
Yeah.
With God of War, I felt that off the bat, by the way, with The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
God of War, I don't feel that. And I feel like all they feel like is like, oh, well, we just gotta do the same shit. And I
Yeah.
feel like they've been in a vacuum for the last 5 years and they
Yeah.
haven't done it. And
Yeah.
since their game got praised a lot, like they didn't have to really like think about it. Like it's like, yeah, you just do the same shit all over again.
It's
And
like what we worry
you
about
know,
with Breath of the Wild 2.
exactly. So and I'm hoping like Nintendo learns like there are improvements to be made and everything like that. But I feel like this is what we are having the fear of so far into the game. 7 hours into the game, it's only God of War 2008 with the DLC pack. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
The DLC story pack. So,
Which is, I mean, it's okay. I don't like. I think the thing is,
but I don't want $70 for it. It's
no.
for me right now. My $70 aren't being justified.
Okay, but
I'm just being all honest.
yeah, but like,
all
look at it this
honesty.
way though. If they took the padding out, right, the shit that's like filler content that just makes the game
Mhm.
longer. If they took that out, it was really tight. Let's say it was 20 hours to 25 hours of like really tight, really high level God of War, really good story moments and shit like that. Like that would make it to me that would make it a different story. I'd be much more willing to put up. I'd be much more willing to pay that price, and then I'd be more okay with the game being iterative if that was the package, right? But when
Mhm.
you when like let's say this game has a bunch of story moments in it that are like really good. They're like it's at the level of like some of the highest video game storytelling we have, right? And it sounds like from what DJ's been saying, that's what's in store for us later in the game. But like my thing is it's like a dilution, right? Like when you force people through sections of the game that aren't of that level of quality, that brings to me, like if I were reviewing this game, that to me brings the game's score down. Like like that the game is not as good just because it has these moments that are of that high peak, like but then it has these moments that are like the valley section where it's like bad, it's not bad, but it's like not good either. It's just like there.
Yeah.
That to me would bring the score down, and that didn't happen with this game. And obviously, we haven't finished it. We haven't gone through the whole thing. My opinion may change
Yeah.
here, but I'm just saying this is my initial feelings on this game right now, and the reason I'm not playing it that much is I'm just like it's like inconsistent. I don't want to. I feel like they took the wrong things away from what we loved about God of War 2018. Is like, dude, I don't love the fucking equipment system in this God of War reboot. Sorry, I don't think the statistics system is very fun. Like I frankly I wish they would have just taken that shit out of the game, to be fucking honest, and just made it a fucking action game. Because it doesn't make the game that much better, and it feels like they've leaned into that more with this game, and I'm like, oh, God, come on. So you got that, you got more padding sections. It seems like they're going to give you more open world areas, like open sections too, which I didn't mind that in the first game, but I don't want a ton of it. I'm not looking for a ton of this like side content necessarily. I just like, I want that main story. That's what was so good about the first game. And it seems like they
I
focused on the wrong things. That's at least what the
yeah.
impression I'm getting so far.
Does the game feel like the combat, right? The
Yeah.
enemy encounters in particular, do they feel more scripted to you?
Um Maybe I haven't done enough of them yet. I mean, are we talking boss fights or
No, I'm just talking
normal
about regular
encounters?
enemy encounters, like regular mobs. I feel like all the mobs are scripted.
I
Like,
see. Yeah, I mean, they have patterns for sure that are more stark, I guess, than I remember them being in the first game. But and also, I think the combat arenas so far have kind of been shitty for the most part too. I don't think they're.
well, well, I shouldn't say like scripted, like just like encountering them in general. Like they don't pop up randomly. Like when you get to an area, like
Oh
okay, I'm
yeah,
about
for
to fight an
sure. There's
enemy.
very specific
Yeah,
combat areas. Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's
yeah,
my point. The design of those combat areas is just not hasn't been great so far for me.
yeah. I don't know. For me, I agree with you on the. For me, I don't really care about like the equipment system, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I wish they would have leaned a little bit more into the combat aspect
Yeah.
of the game, make it a
Right.
little bit more crazy. Right now, even the unlocks you see in the future, I just don't see.
I'm not excited about them at all.
Yeah, I'm not excited about the later levels of the game or anything like that.
No, because I think this is my thing with this game, right? And this was true in the first game too. Is I don't really care what difficulty you play on. If you play this game a certain way, you can literally just spam the normal attack combo, and as long as you dodge and block properly, you'll win. There's no reason to use anything else. Like, you don't have to use abilities, you don't need to use runic skills, you don't need to use the combo skills, you don't need to do anything that's in the skill tree. Like, that's my issue with this game's combat design, is that you don't have to use any of that shit. It's like completely unnecessary. Like, it
Yeah,
like literally, I like straight up most of the combats I fight, I just go R1, 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 block, dodge, R1, 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 R1 until the enemy's dead, And then I might do a
yeah.
grab if they're in stun range, It's like, but yeah, you don't have to do any of that shit.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel the same way. Like I try to get a little bit creative with my combat, but I end up elongating the combat. And honestly, it's like I I almost feel like I should have just watched a YouTube playthrough for the story. Like
Shit,
that's
man.
that's so
Yeah.
bad. But like everyone's like clamoring about how good the story is, and so far the story is really good. The acting and everything's phenomenal. But it's just like I don't want to play the game now. Like I just want to watch the story play
Yeah.
out in front of me. You
Well,
know?
like I just got to, yeah, I'm like in the same boat because I just got to a section in the dwarf realm where I went through the city and I got to the boat and I'm at the point where they tell you, okay, you can go do the main story on the left, or there's this open side quests over here on the right, and it's like this giant open water area where you're in the boat,
Hmm.
and like that's where I stopped, because when games do that to me, I'm like, because that section, I'm gonna go want to do the side areas before I go do the main quest, because you're probably not gonna be able to come back and do them later. Depending, like, I don't know if this game's gonna let you come back to this area or not. And given that, I'm gonna want to do the side stuff. So it's like, to me, my next session playing this game is gonna be doing that side stuff, and then at the end of it, I might get to that story portion, and that's like, I'm not enthused about that. I'm not like
Hmm.
excited about that. And I know a lot of you will just tell me, go do the story then, bro. But that's just like, it's not how I play games, man. I'm like a completionist. I'm OCD with that. Like, and I know there's gonna be good content in that side content too. So I'm not saying like I don't want it there necessarily, but I don't want it there as much as it's there, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying. Like, it's bloat, some of it. It's like you could take some of it out, and I think the game would be better for it.
Hmm.
The pacing would be better. I guess it's kind of what I'm talking about. So I don't know. Like, again, we're being really negative right now in terms of control and everything. I forgot how well Kratos controls in this game. Like, I was like, damn, yeah, that's right, dude. Like, he's like really snappy. Like,
Yep.
I'm like, they got that. They definitely got that right. Like the feel of it. It's just like the design of some of the combat stuff is just not up to par though for me. I don't know. So I'm certainly going to play it more next week for sure, while I'm on vacation. So when we come back in 2 weeks, like, I will definitely have more to say about this game, 100%, like, no question. But
Yeah, I'm definitely going to dive into it like hard next week or week after next, um, and just finish it. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I've been playing. I've been playing a little bit of Sonic Frontiers as well. I like the open world aspect of Sonic Frontiers, but it does get annoying because you have to unlock certain stuff. And now I just want to play like the cyberspace levels, but you got to go out your way to find them. Um,
mm-hmm.
so it's kind of weird in that aspect. Cause I really like the cyberspace levels a lot. Actually, they're like little bite size. They're
Yeah.
regular levels
Mm-hmm.
that you can finish in like 1 or 2 minutes or whatever. Um, but the open world is still okay. I like it as well. Speeding through the open world is weird though. I don't like you get unlock this mechanic when you get like 400 or 500 rings or whatever in the open world. You get like super boost and you get unlimited boost or whatever.
Yeah.
And I actually don't like it because Sonic goes way too fast in my opinion, and it's hard to control. Which is
Yeah.
funny because every like even that donkey video that we're going to talk about later, a lot of people were like, "Yo, Sonic is just way too fucking slow. Sonic is way too slow," and it's like, I'm playing in. When you play Sonic, you have two options. You can play action mode or high speed mode. High speed mode is more of the traditional Sonic, like high speed octane stuff, and action mode is more slower. So I'm thinking a lot of people are playing on the slower mode, action mode. But for me, like I'm playing high speed mode, and he just like sometimes I can't control him, and
Yeah.
so I purposely like lose the ring so I can go back to the normal boost mode or whatever.
Yeah.
But besides that, I think the game's really good. It definitely needs some work. It's definitely like a 7 or 8. I'm definitely not giving it a 10. But now that Sega's hiring more people and everything for the next, there's definitely going to be a Frontiers 2 after the success of this game. So
Which
yeah, uh,
you mentioned that there was only 60 people on the dev team for this game.
60 people only
That's
working on
fucking
this game.
insane, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
so low for a AAA game. Like most AAA
yeah.
games are
That's
like
pretty.
200 people minimum.
Yeah, that's pretty much an indie team almost.
Yeah.
Because they just dissolved. I think they dissolved the game after dissolved the team after like countless failures. So I mean,
Yeah.
which makes sense, you know.
And they're
So they really need to pull
rebuilding
this
it.
one out the park, and they did, in my opinion, with 60 people.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Well, the other
But yeah,
interesting thing is it was $40 on Amazon this week.
I think that's a decent price.
Yeah, I know, but dude, that was like that was like a week after release, dude. It's insane.
It's a
Like
Sonic game. I
it's
think people
crazy,
don't
man.
respect. I think people just don't respect Sonic. Like, and I mean, it's understandable after all the bad games that came out.
Mhm.
It's understandable, but I just think, like, yeah, people. And once we talk about later, I mean, people just really don't respect Sonic, the franchise, and everything like that. And I think that's some of its own doing.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, I think, is just natural hate at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird. But yeah, that's. I have StarCraft 2 or StarCraft 1 on here, but I haven't played it. I haven't got a chance of getting around and playing it yet, so I'm probably gonna put that one on the back burner. And I have Bayonetta. That one's on the back burner as well. Like after I finish my main two games, which is Sonic and God of War, I'm probably gonna finish Bayonetta and then finish the campaign for StarCraft.
Okay. Yeah, so I've been playing God of War, which you mentioned, Apex a little bit here and there. Genshin still playing Genshin. I don't not too much to say here. I did get to the current chapter of the story, I guess. So I mean I still have a ton to catch up on. I'm not like close to catching up right now, but um yeah, I think I just want to reiterate what I said. I think it was last week. Is that the Inazuma section of the game, the story section part of that at least sucks complete dick in the main story. Like it is fucking bad because the section immediately after that, that is part of chapter 2, is the chasm, which is a
Mm-hmm.
totally different area. It transitions you into the fourth region, which is Sumeru, and it's kind of like an interstitial spot to get you there, and the story in there is like it like this quality like skyrockets. I was like so much more engaged, dude, like in that area. Like the story in that area was so fucking interesting, and the region design of Inazuma, I don't even like it. I don't even like walking around and doing quests in that area or finding chests and stuff. It's just like it's just an annoying place to be because there's like these random thunderstorms where lightning will randomly strike around you, and it usually is just like tracked onto your character. So if you're walking forward, the lightning will strike down in your walking path, like right as you're gonna walk through it. It's fucking annoying as shit, dude, and it does a fuck ton of damage. It's like it's just annoying. Like I think I don't like this area of the game, and it's kind of funny that I'm glad I didn't play the game during this time because I would have quit. If I hadn't quit when I did, I would have quit during this for sure because this area sucks. Because it's funny, the chasm, which is a small kind of like insular area on its own, which they had done this once before that with a place called Dragon Spine, as well in what was it called? In it's between Mondstadt and Liyue, the first two regions, and it's just it's a mountain, like cold mountain region, and the chasm is actually the exact opposite. It's an underground like cave system, and it's fucking awesome, dude. Like the region design there, like the kind of geographic design of this area is fucking excellent, dude. I cannot wait to go like explore it. I was trying to just do the story and not do too much exploring in this area because I want to like really do it and kind of focus on it when I get there. So it's weird to see this stark of a contrast between the quality, at least. I mean, obviously some of it's subjective. I'm sure there are people that like Inazuma and some that hate the chasm, but like I just and when I went into Sumeru, the fourth region, I think that that region seems like it's going to be fucking really cool to explore as well. So I'm kind of just trying to blow through the Inazuma stuff right now and like get all of it done so I never have to go back there. Cause yeah, I fucking don't like that area at all. It's just weird. It's just weird. It's like a whole section of the game that's just like not really good, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of weirds me out, but still enjoying the game. I'm playing it, good amount. Not, I'm kind of splitting time between it and Tactics Ogre right now, and then I need to kind of get God of War in there. So I'm probably not going to play as much in the next week, but still enjoying this game a lot. So Tactics Ogre Reborn. This is the other game I've been playing. This is kind of the main other game I've been playing. Besides Genshin, and I just finished chapter 1 last night. I'm into chapter 2, and this game is interesting so far. I've kind of had a weird, almost roller coaster ride with it because when I initially first blush, I was really excited and into it, and then I kind of got into chapter 1 and started learning some of the changes they made and some of the system changes they made, and I wasn't as happy with it, I guess I'll say, because I was like playing the game and character levels are individual to the character again. However, um, they they did some things with the skill system from the PSP game. They streamlined it so you no longer get skill points when you do stuff in battles. You just learn the skills. Like each class has a set of skills they learn, and they learn them at certain levels, and that's it. They just learn them. There's no customization involved there. You don't pick the skills you want to learn. You just learn them and you have access to them. Now there are skills that you level in this game, so you have to do things to level them. Mainly the weapon skills in particular, where you need to use a specific weapon and level it up, and you get more proficient with that weapon over time. But the thing they did with the statistics in this game, though, is that I can't seem to get definitive info on this. Is do characters, because in the original game, the 1995 game on Super NES, this is the way the game worked. You would, let's say you're a warrior, right? And when you level up, you gain 4 strength and 10 HP. When you gain those stats and then you change class, you would retain the stats you gained. There would be no like scaling or anything like that. Not really. I don't. It's been a long time since I played, so I don't know if there was some minor scaling that happened, but it wasn't. It wasn't as severe as what's happening in this game, or this version of the game rather. So you would retain the 10 HP and the 4 strength that you gained in the warrior class if you changed to say a wizard. Whereas as a wizard, you would gain, let's say, you would gain 5 HP and 2 strength, and you would retain that going into being a warrior. So building your characters in the original release of the game was very deliberate. You kind of had to almost plan out how long you wanted to spend in each class to gain specific stats, because if you were going to be a physical attacker, you want to get the highest gains for the physical stats your class needs, in order to maximize their effectiveness, right? Whereas in
Mm-hmm.
this game, there seems to be some kind of hybrid system they ended up landing on, because when you change class in this game, your stats change. You each class kind of has what kind of the way I'm feeling it right now. At least this is kind of how I think it might be working. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I tried to research this, but I couldn't find anything definitive this week. Is I think each class has base stats that the class has, like a base allotment of stats. Like say a warrior has 20 strength, 10 intelligence, and 15 agility or something. And a wizard would have the opposite. It's like 20 intelligence, 12 agility, and 13 strength or something like that. I think each class has base stats that they have. So when you change to that class, those base stats change. So if you were a warrior before, you go down to 13 strength if you were at 20, so you lose 7. So you can see that on the class change screen. When you change class, it shows you the stats you're going to gain and lose. So that happens. However, I did notice HP does not change when you change class. That seems to be static. So the class you're in um, is whatever the gains you got while you were in that class will be retained when you change your class. So that's one interesting wrinkle. And the second is I think you do gain stats in a class. Like classes have their own stat gains. They're much smaller in this game, by the way. The numbers are smaller. So like when a warrior levels up, they'll get like 3 strength, and a mage, a wizard might get 2. So it's not that big of a difference, but there is a difference. Um, but I think those level gains you got are somewhat retained when you change your class. It's not as severe as it was in the original 1995 release,
Mm-hmm.
but the scaling is kind of brings it close to in line to what you would be if you had leveled as that class all the way. But it's not like 100%. It seems like there is some amount of customization you can do with your characters in terms of statistical gains that you can get. So I'm still trying to figure this out because there was a night where I thought it was all I thought it was like all scaled. Like if you change class, like say you were leveled to 10 as a warrior, you would have level 10 warrior stats, and if you change class with that character to a wizard, it would just change you to level 10 wizard stats. Like I thought that early on, and I don't think that's the case anymore after playing it a bit more. So I'm okay with. I'm like glad it's a good thing because if it worked that way, that would mean no characters would have any individuality at all. Like literally, they would just be just like whatever level they are. You can just change them in whatever class you want, and they would have the exact stats that class would have if you had leveled it that way the whole time. And that
Mm-hmm.
sucks. Like that takes away a lot of the magic of what makes Tactics Ogre so fun for me is figuring out how to make an effective character. I don't want that individuality lost of the character, with those statistics. So the skill system, I'm a little more disappointed in. I kind of liked the picking and choosing of skills in the PSP version. That was actually one thing they did in that version of the game that I did like. So taking that back and making it level based, because that is one thing when you change class in this game. Let's say you learn skills up to level 10. You have a level 10 warrior, and they have all the skills that a level 10 warrior would have. When you switch to a level 10 wizard, they lose all the skills that a level 10 warrior would have and gain all the skills that a level 10 wizard would have. So that is one change that they made that I'm kind of not as into as much. Now I understand they had to do it this way because if they didn't do that, you would have to like level these classes. It would be so awkward where you would like level to 10 as a warrior and you would gain the 10 skills, whatever skills you would get up to level 10. And then if you change to wizard, how would that even work? Would you get the first 10 levels of skills for a wizard? It's like, so they had to do it this way if they were going to take away the buying of skills that they did. So I get it. I just kind of wish they had kept retain the buying of skills thing, because this is the other thing that I'm not like super into with the way they're doing this is you get experience at the end of battle. You don't get it for doing actions within a battle, which is something the original game did. And same with the with like Final Fantasy Tactics, right? So if you attacked an enemy, you would get experience for hitting them, and you would get job points in Final Fantasy Tactics or skill points in Tactics Ogre. And that's not the case in this release of the game, and this was true in the PSP. Well, it was true in the PSP game for experience, not skill points. So in this game, like doing actions in a battle is not um, really important necessarily. Your characters don't even have to contribute to get a share of the experience. As long as you win the battle, they get a portion of the experience. So I don't love that either, because this is like muscle memory for me. Is like, I don't know, like when you play Montrell, when you play Fire Emblem, for instance, right? Like, do you just like when you're using a healer, how healers get experience whenever they heal? Do you just heal people to get extra experience to like maximize how much exp you're getting in a battle? Like, that's like muscle memory for me with tactical RPGs.
Yeah.
So this game doesn't have that kind of mechanic in it, so it's kind of odd. Like I'm like it's weird for me to get used to, where I'm at the end of a battle and there's one enemy left and I just need to kill him, and my healer goes and I literally just skip his turn. I don't do anything because there's no point. Like there's no value in doing anything with that healer.
Okay.
So that's kind of a change. That's another change that I not it's not like a deal breaker or anything. It's just I would prefer it to be the old way where you get experience for each action you take in combat. So I would prefer that as well. But outside of those things that I mentioned, because I'm being negative so far, this is an excellent remake of this game, like an excellent rendition of this game. The voice acting is actually surprisingly good for the most part. I'm actually pretty impressed with it so far, and I'm looking forward to playing through the whole game with hearing the voice cast. I think they did a pretty good job with it overall. And then the presentation is great. I think the music. This is like the third time they've redone this soundtrack, so at a certain point, you're just kind of making it. I don't think I like this rendition of some of the songs as much as like the PSP version. But I had this same thing with Xenoblade Chronicles when they remade that on Switch. So there's certain songs I prefer in the old style, and there's certain songs I prefer in this new soundtrack. So it's kind of hit and miss with that. But the music overall, I mean, the quality of the music is excellent overall. So that's good as well. And I mean, it's Tactics Ogre, man. Like it's the definitive strategy RPG. Like if you are into this genre and you haven't played this game, you are doing yourself a disservice. Like you have got to play it. And Montrell, I would almost tell you, like, I know you're not interested in playing this necessarily, but dude, if you want like a really good story in a video game, like watch this game's story on YouTube or something. Like it's fucking awesome. Like it is such one of the most well told stories in a game. Like period. I'm not even fucking with you. Like the
Okay.
the like political intrigue, the kind of like exploration of racism and prejudice that happens in this game is like it's kind of an all timer for me in that regard. So I fucking love this game. If you couldn't tell. So I'm gonna be playing this a lot in the next few weeks for sure. This is probably gonna be my main game overall. But yeah. So after this though, I was thinking about it because we're gonna talk about this later. Is after I beat God of War and then I'm kind of done with Tactics Ogre, I'm probably gonna play Elden Ring. I think I need to play it for this year. To kind of get an opinion on it before we talk about Game of the Year at the end of the year. So that's kind of my plan
Okay.
right now. But all right, that was me rambling for 15 minutes. So let's get into the news, man. All right, we don't have a lot of news this week, but we do have a couple big stories to talk about. So the first one is this happened last week. I think the day we were recording, so that's why we didn't talk about this last week. But this is kind of a big deal. Is Mick Gordon, who is the composer for the Doom, who has been the composer for the Doom soundtrack for that series, and he wrote an article on Medium and released it last week. And this was a humongous article, by the way, 14,000 words in this article. They estimate it on the page to be a 58-minute read. So I do recommend you guys read this. It is very interesting. I wasn't able to get through the whole thing, but I got the gist of kind of what happened here with this. And so basically, this is the series of events. Is Mick Gordon was contracted to work on the soundtrack for Doom Eternal, which he worked on Doom 2016 as well, and has worked with id before on stuff. And there were issues that happened. You know, you can read the article to get the full picture of it, but there was unrealistic deadlines. There was kind of almost like the game wasn't in a state where he could functionally make the soundtrack. Like the levels weren't ready for him to make the music for, because the music in Doom is like really tied into what's happening on screen. Things like that. But there was also mistreatment that happened with the manager at id that he was working with. His name is Marty. I don't know his full name. But he's Marty Stratton is his name actually. So he was the director at id, studio director at id, and Mick also says that he was not paid in full for the work that he did on this soundtrack. And there were other things that happened as well. There like because he at a certain point he stopped working with them because they weren't paying him what they had agreed to pay him, so he stopped working with them. So what they did was in the final version of Doom Eternal, like there were tracks in that game that were refused, like rejected, like id rejected them, like Mick submit them for review, and id rejected them. And when and Mick explains in this article that when that happens, they are intended to be discarded. They should not be used in the game at all. They're not part of the soundtrack. Like they're not something that they can use. But it did that here apparently. And the soundtrack was later finished by somebody internally at id. And there was a whole bunch of other things that happened after this, though. The game comes out, and some of this kind of came out in 2020. And Marty Stratton did released a statement on Reddit of all places about this, kind of painting a picture that Mick, kind of painting Mick in a bad light. So Mick talked about that here, that Reddit post did a lot of damage to his reputation and his career in here. And yeah, so it's just an ugly situation. After this article, though, yesterday, so about a week after the article came out, Bethesda released a statement, and I'm going to read this verbatim. So, quote, the recent post by Mick Gordon both mischaracterized and misrepresented the team at id Software. The development of Doom Eternal, Marty Stratton, and Chad Mossholder, with a one-sided and unjust account of an irreparable professional relationship. We are aware of all the details and history in this matter and unequivocally support Marty, Chad, and the team at id Software. We reject the distortion of the truth and selective presentation of incomplete facts. We stand ready with full and complete documented evidence to disclose in an appropriate venue as needed. The statements posted online have incited harassment and threats of violence against Marty, Chad, and the id Software team. Any threats of harassment directed towards members of our teams will be met with swift and appropriate action to protect their safety and their health and safety. We remain incredibly proud of id's previous collaborations with Mick Gordon and ask that fans refrain from reaching conclusions based on his account and, more importantly, from attacking any of the individuals mentioned on either side, including Marty, Chad, or Mick. End quote. So the thing I want to say before we start talking about this is Mick's article has a basically giant bibliography at the end of it detailing all of the facts that he presented in his article. So there's a lot of, in my opinion, irrefutable evidence in here. So Bethesda's statement as such is, to me, poorly received, I guess, to me. So Montreal, so what is your overall thoughts on this situation?
So it was just a lot to. I tried to read all of like
It's a
Nick's
lot.
statements.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I tried to go back and because I was just doing this for my own purpose, just to not even for the podcast sake, just because this happened like a week or two ago. So I was just doing it for my own purpose, because I actually love Doom soundtrack. Like it's really
Oh
good.
yeah, I
It's
know.
really
It's
good to work
excellent.
out with too. It's
Mhm.
a really good soundtrack, and I only played the first game, so I didn't even finish it. I need to go back and finish it, but I didn't even finish it. But like this, the soundtrack is just so fucking good. So really
Mhm.
high octane, like death metal, heavy metal. I don't even know if that's death metal or heavy metal. It may be death metal. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's death metal.
Yeah. So it's just a really high octane track and or OST in general.
Yeah.
So I was very interested because like you can't find this on Spotify or only thing you can find it on is YouTube. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
So when this came out, I was just looking at the history and everything, and I remember the huge controversy when they tried to do this soundtrack or one of this soundtracks on Twitch, and they played like generic rock music over the whole thing or whatever. I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys remember that. That was funny to me.
Mhm.
But it makes sense now that all the controversy behind this whole thing. Um, and I think that's very unfortunate that this damaged his reputation because he's one of those like one of those great composers like Marty O'Donnell and everything like that, who did the
Mhm.
Halo series and Destiny and everything like that. I think his name Hideki, who did the Jet Set Radio and things of that nature. Or Hideki rather, who did Jet Set
Yeah, and there's
Radio's
like
soundtrack.
for Final Fantasy, like Nobuo Uematsu.
Yep, Nobuo.
Yeah.
I would rate him up there with them. Like he's one of the greats. He's
Yep.
solidified his greatness with
And
these
then
games. And
Sawano for the Xenoblade series and like
yeah,
Attack on
exactly. Yep.
Titan. Yep.
So, uh, so to see, this go down is crazy, and I think and Microsoft, because they are part of Microsoft now. I think Microsoft needs to get involved and kind of smack Bethesda on the head and like, hey, this isn't good look. This isn't a good look for you guys.
Right.
Like this really isn't. It's Bethesda joining Microsoft, and I'm looking at it from the optics point of view.
Yeah.
Microsoft's already hated. Like, call a spade a spade. Everybody in the gaming industry, or at least the fan side, hates Microsoft, except for like a certain sect of people.
Hmm.
Um, so this already adds fuel to their fire because they're not having a really good year, in my opinion. The last 2 or 3 years haven't been really good for them, and everything of that nature. So for this to come out and everything of that nature, this is adding more fuel to the fire because everybody. I don't even care if you never played Doom, you heard that soundtrack, and you don't even have to like
Yeah.
metal or anything like that. You're like, yo, this shit is fucking good. Like it's a good soundtrack. Um, so uh I feel bad for everybody involved. Well, I don't feel bad for ID Software because they're a good developer, but
Yeah. It's just this.
I'm
Yeah.
yeah, this sucks. This puts a stain on their
Hmm.
reputation as a developer. Um, I don't know because the gaming industry treats the music industry of the gaming industry like ass, and I
Yeah.
feel like music in games gets treated like shit on both sides from people who play the games or from people who make the games, not from necessarily people who play the games because a lot of people treasure these OSTs. We love the soundtracks that come. But the people who make the music, they love it as well. But then even outside of video games, they don't get their just desserts as well. We don't see these shits at Grammys when I think some of these songs should be at Grammys and
Yeah.
some of these music things should be at, getting different symphony awards and opera awards and all that shit like that. Like the scores that these people do in these video games. Um, it's something about a video game. To let y'all know, I didn't even play Doom when it came out. I played it after I listened to the OST. That's how
Hmm.
good the game was. The OST is for
Yeah.
me. Um, and for all this to happen, uh, it's just a major disrespect to like mute the music industry and gaming. I think we have to do something because at the end of the day, like the music in games is goes hand in hand with the gameplay. It's one of the core tenets of gaming, and
Hmm.
for them to be doing this to mute to make like this is just it's not good because you can tell when you're playing the game like how he has to amp up certain scenes. Like you can tell he was watching or playing the game himself, and then immediately went to the studio. Was like, yeah, this is exactly how I was feeling when I was killing those fucking demons.
Well, he says that too. I mean, that's part of his creative process, dude. Is like he needs the level that he's making the music for. Like he won't make it without that. Like because
yeah.
that's so important to the way his process. And I think that, like, to your point, dude. Like I'm a huge. I've always, like, I mean, if you guys have listened to this podcast this whole time, like, I often bring up music as part of the one of the things I enjoy in games that I enjoy a lot. And it's such an important part of the medium. Like, I think it, and Montreal is totally fucking right. I think the industry as a whole, not I'm not just saying developers, publishers, like fans and critics and those of us who analyze it, like, I think we all underestimate the value of music in video games. It is often, like, it's probably the thing that's overlooked the most when from a development standpoint. Like, if you're trying to keep a game budget, like, not spend a ton of money on it, music's the thing that gets cut first, probably a lot of the time. But that is disappointing because it can enhance what is happening on screen to such an incredible degree. And I think Doom is like an excellent example of that. Because if you take the music out of Doom, I don't think the game is anywhere near as good. Like that I don't know. So, yeah, like for me with RPGs, music has been such an important component. I was like looking up, I was looking up the Final Fantasy composer, but I was thinking about Final Fantasy 14 specifically. Masayoshi Soken is the composer for that game, and dude, the music in Final Fantasy 14 is fucking amazing. The soundtrack in that game is so incredible. It's insane. The level of detail and nuance that is in that soundtrack, the callbacks to old Final Fantasy games and old Final Fantasy soundtracks that are within these songs that they write for that game is fucking incredible, dude. Like it's unbelievable, and it significantly increases the effectiveness of that game, in my opinion. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. Just to piggyback off that, like for me, I made a tweet about Sonic. I say what you want about all the Sonic games, whether they're good or trash. One thing you can't deny is every Sonic OST is the shit.
mhm.
And I can't think of a bad Sonic OST in my opinion. All the trash games that Sonic has made, because like you said, like they're one in the same. It's like for like Doom, like you got to feel the track, you got to feel the music while you're playing it. I feel
Yeah,
like for Sonic as well, it's one of those
mhm.
games you gotta have the right music, the high octane music to go with the level. Because you don't have it, then it just doesn't match. Everything just goes wild. And it's only a couple games that can get away with like having bad music and the game just holds up, you know.
Yeah,
So yeah, this situation is very unfortunate because like this isn't the reason I'm so upset about it, because this isn't the first time we see it. We've seen it with Marty, like when he had his whole ordeal with whether he was in the right or wrong. I can't remember the situation. It was still a fucking situation. Like
yeah,
that's crazy to me. I don't know. And then we've had whole games be held up because of like music rights.
yeah, yeah. I know.
Like
Kingdom Hearts is a
yeah, I was about
famous
to say that
example. We
Kingdom
didn't we
Hearts.
didn't have a re-release of the games forever because of the music rights. Um,
Exactly. And they
yeah,
couldn't, and I understand them not wanting to release the game with like, another soundtrack, because if you change the soundtrack in Kingdom Hearts, it's not Kingdom Hearts
you're
anymore.
right. Yeah,
Like
it's
there
such
would
an
be so
important
many
component.
people bitching about why did you guys change it was called Sanctuary,
It was
right? Why
Sanctuary.
did you
Yeah,
guys
that was
yeah,
a
why
specific
did you guys
song. Yeah,
yeah. Why would you change Sanctuary, bro? I need Sanctuary. And they're right. I can't complain about it. I can't watch Kingdom Hearts 2 opening without Sanctuary. If it's not there, if I play the game on mute, I might as well not even play the game at all, because it's not
right.
Kingdom Hearts. I don't know what this game is.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
uh yeah, it's just I think I'm glad Mick is standing up, but I'm hoping this puts a light on and the lack of like uh journalists not writing about this is so fucking apparent. Like it's so crazy that no one's like writing about how important music is in gaming. Uh, like you're right too. Like the people don't talk about it as much. I listen to podcasts, watch videos. Um, unless I go out my way to look for videos people who have essays on like the music scores and everything like that. Uh, you don't see it talked about as much. And I'm hoping like this will be the catalyst
hmm
that pushes music in gaming back to like the forefront. Because at one point it was the forefront, and then I don't know, it dissipated again. It was like real quick. It was like a snap of a finger. So I feel
yeah,
bad for Mick, and I hope he gets his just desserts from this.
yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, like, um, yeah, this guy. Sorry, I was looking up this guy on YouTube that does music breakdowns, and there's a lot of these guys, but there's one in particular
Hmm.
that I have enjoyed in the past. His name is Alex Mukala, music on YouTube. He's
Oh
super.
yeah, I actually follow that guy.
Yeah, he's super, dude. He's super good. Like I love his breakdowns. He does game music breakdowns and like kind of talks about what he's hearing and all that and the emotion that is going into these songs.
Hmm.
So I love that stuff. And I think if you want to find it, it's there. I think, but to our point, it's not. These aren't big channels, right? Like
Yeah.
this isn't stuff that is like highly followed within games and the idea. I think it's just I've never liked Bethesda. I've literally have never liked Bethesda. Straight no, dude. I just like maybe it's a bias of mine. It probably is at this point, but dude, I've never liked them as a company because I think they've always gotten away with poor management of their games, like releasing their games in poor states, and frankly, in more recent years, the things with Todd Howard, specifically, like straight up just lying about their games on fucking E3 stages, and no repercussions to that whatsoever. I do not like this company and the way that they're acting here. This statement that they released yesterday is another in line of the way that I view them. That I just don't think they're a company that has the fans in mind. I don't think they have their collaborators in mind. I don't think they give a shit about anybody else's success other than their fucking own. And it is really ugly. It's a really ugly look. And to be frank, like I don't really play Bethesda games. I don't care about Bethesda for the most part. So I'm like, but it's just I don't know. I think Microsoft at this point, like honestly, this statement today was so ill-advised, in my opinion, that it makes them look so bad that I kind of feel like Microsoft has to step in.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they can continue to let Bethesda operate on their own in this situation because they clearly do not know how to handle it. And then the idea that Bethesda leadership is going to back this guy up after some of the things that are in this article is like kind of fucking gross, dude. I get it. You want to stick by your guy and you don't want to make a scapegoat of somebody at your company, but at the same time, if this guy's a piece of shit, then let him go. I don't know. So I'm hoping there's more on this that comes out. We get more than just Mick's side and Bethesda's side. I kind of want somebody like to actually find like a third party, like a Jason Schreier type, to
Mm-hmm.
kind of do a deep dive and find out what really is going on here. Because there's a chance that Mick's, not representing the truth fully.
Exactly. Yep.
That is definitely a possibility. And I mean, I read some of the article and I've been reading some of it while you were talking too. That like the way he's framing some of this is very it's almost like gossipy, the way you would with a coworker, in some ways where you kind of misrepresent the truth a little bit, like you're not like fully misrepresenting the truth, but you're kind of there's some details that you're kind of like hyperbolizing a little bit, and I kind of get that feeling here. I mean, that's just a literally just a feeling on my part. There's nothing like proof here, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from it a little bit from some of it. But there is plenty of like truth in here. Like this guy has receipts, there are literally emails he has in here that like these things fucking happened. So I think it's just part of my issue with the way he frames some of it is that he puts a fact out there and then he kind of starts talking about something that happened around that, and he has no proof about what he's saying. He's just kind of saying things of how like what he thinks happened from his perspective, so there's no proof around some of that, like calls he had with Marty and things like that. So I will say, like, don't believe either side immediately here. I do think Mick is more than likely telling the truth, but that's why I would love to see more reporting on this from kind of somebody that's removed from the situation, doing some reporting on this. I would love to see that because I'd like to know the absolute truth of what actually happened here. But it's ugly no matter what. Whoever's telling the truth or half truth, or if both sides are doing half truths, who knows? It's ugly no matter what way you slice it. And this sucks. To be frank, doing this in public is, I think, kind of, I don't know. I mean, but like, id started it with that Reddit post, so they did. But Mick putting all this out here, like, I mean, he says it at the beginning. He feels like he had no other choice. At this point, he couldn't come to a resolution privately. So,
Yeah.
which after 2 years, I believe that. you know, so. But if there's any more that comes out about this, we will certainly talk about it on the show here. So, all right, Montrell, let's move on. We got some rumors from VGC Video Games Chronicle. They are reporting that, well, actually, this is through a news site called MTN. Actually, they first reported this, that Sony is reportedly partnered with NCSoft to make it Horizon MMO RPG. And this is not a surprise. This is actually in line with some reporting that I heard a couple months ago that we didn't talk about kind of what Guerrilla's working on right now. And it's a bunch of Horizon games, Horizon products, and this was one of those. So this is more defined reporting around this specific thing. So Montrell, the idea of a Horizon MMO, does that excite you at all?
Uh, to be honest with you, no. It's, Horizon's world is interesting, yes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
do I want to spend more time in it? Not necessarily. I feel like I have enough time with it as Aloy, and that's
Yeah.
cool. I don't I there hasn't been a time where I ran across something and I'm like, man, I wonder what their perspective is like. And it's like I just don't care. I just like Aloy and I like the story that they're presenting with me.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion. Now, does it have potential? Of course. I would say more of a survival MMO type thing.
Yeah.
Not a when I think of MMORPG, I'm thinking like your World of Warcrafts, your Guild
Yeah.
Wars,
Yeah.
those type of things.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, this would work better if it was a really high quality AAA survival game.
Yeah.
Like that would be fucking dope. I will actually rally behind that more. Like I built my own settlement and shit. I got fucking robot dinosaurs that trying to attack my shit, like that shit. And I gotta work with like me and four. Like just imagine it was like me, you, Jet, Brad, and fucking Andy trying to defend our fucking little fucking village that we just
Settlement.
made.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
like
our
the giant
settlement.
robot dinosaurs. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I think that would be cool, but
Mm.
maybe that's what they're going for. They just have a generic. They just call it generic MMORPG. But if it is just a generic MMORPG, like an action style MMORPG or something like that, I don't think I'll be too interested in it. Maybe if they do a Monster Hunter style game, I
Yeah.
guess you can call it like an MMORPG.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe. But I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just not really
Yeah, I
like
was
up
thinking
my
Monster
alley.
Hunter more myself. I mean,
Yeah,
that's kind of what the game's modeled after, um, a bit, but
yeah.
I don't know. Like, dude, I'll be honest. I think the idea of a Horizon MMO, like, just as an idea, I think is not a bad one necessarily. I do think this world is interesting enough that it could be, especially after playing the second game. I think there's enough here where you could make a very interesting MMORPG, and I think it could be successful. However, I think the choice of partners here in NCSoft is from personal experience with NCSoft. So I played Ion, which I mean I talked about last year playing Ion Classic, and I played Ion back when it came out a long time ago. They are not the greatest publisher. They do not. They do not do what their fans want most of the time, and they are a very money focused company. Um, and that's fine. A lot of video game companies are, but in my opinion, I do not think they run their MMOs in a way that I like. At least from my experience with Ion and Ion Classic, especially. I did play Guild Wars a little bit. Obviously, Lineage as well is from them, so they've had success in the sphere, of course. Like, I mean, like I understand why Sony would go to them, but at the same time, I don't know. I just I think the whole thing being NCSoft and Horizon in general, I'm not like over the moon about this. I'm not this isn't like a day one game that I'm gonna buy, necessarily or play, probably, unless it looks insanely good, but which I wouldn't expect that from NCSoft. So I don't know. I think my thing with this is Sony running Horizon into the ground. Um because we've got Horizon 1, Zero Dawn, and then we have Horizon 2. And we've got Call of the Mountain coming out on PSVR 2 in a few months. Then you have the television show that is coming out. Then you have now this game that is being worked on as well. And I'm sure Horizon 3 is also in development right now as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of Horizon stuff, and I get it. Sony is trying to capitalize on this IP that I think is, from what I understand of what I've heard recently, is like their third best-selling franchise ever for Sony. So, in terms of video games, rather for PlayStation. So I get it. They're trying to monetize it. heavily, but they want to kind of expand it and make it big. But I don't think Horizon is good enough to justify this treatment. Frankly, I like Horizon. I think it's good overall. I think the story and lore and the world building of it is the best part of it. The gameplay is okay, and the open world exploration is pretty cookie cutter for the industry at this point. So I don't know if that justifies all this attention from Sony and investment necessarily. I don't know if this is really going to succeed long term, personally. But I mean, Montrell, what do you think of all that? Do you agree?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Actually, I think Horizon franchise is really good. I think Sony's trying to prop it up to be more than what it is.
Yeah.
My opinion. I
Yeah.
don't think it's the. I don't. It's not a. I know people are probably gonna hate me when I say this. If thank God we're not big enough. Right now, I keep saying right now. Thank God we're not big right now.
Uh-huh.
I don't think Horizon is a Last of Us. I don't think Horizon is an Uncharted.
Or
I don't
God
even
of
think
War.
Horizon is a God of War. I don't.
Yeah.
It's a tier under that. Like though that's Sony's like core, and then like under theirs like their second tier core stuff. If that makes
Yeah.
any sense.
Yeah.
And then Horizon will be the first in line for that, right? That's why that's where I put Horizon in my mind. Um,
For me, it's Ghost of Tsushima. Probably.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not
I can
even at
see
the
that.
top of that second tier, to me.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Because Ghost of Tsushima just knocked it out the water, in my opinion. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So
But
I
I mean, if I had to be realistic, I would put it there. But
yeah.
it's like right there with like Bloodborne,
Hmm.
yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. But those games are to me are higher quality than this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. So
Yeah,
that's
so
just me though.
I think the weird thing too, I think that this is a huge risk. I think this is the other part of this that I think I find interesting is that Aloy is, the centerpiece of Horizon up to this point. And all of these properties that they're going with, like Call of the Mountain and then this MMO, of course, these aren't going to set around Aloy anymore. And I think that's a huge risk because I think a big part of Horizon's appeal is her, you know?
Yes, yes,
So I don't know if Horizon as a IP can be carried without her being there, being present. And I think this is the other thing that I've talked about with both of these games is kind of a negative piece is that characters that aren't Aloy, that aren't in on the secrets that she knows about this world, they just seem they just feel like they are literally a lower level of human compared to her. And I think that is another risk, which is why Call of the Mountain is like to me is like dude, I'm like not even remotely interested in it because it's just some guy, it's just some random dude. Like we, I'm I'm sure it's probably some character we met somewhere, but it doesn't matter. It's like that, like everything from Aloy's point of view kind of ruins a lot of these other like IPs within this universe, or these other products within this universe, because it's like these characters that don't know the truth are like unenlightened, like they're almost like like cavemen, compared to her. So I think that's like a huge negative that could ruin all this to me, like because these characters are just going to feel irrelevant, relative to the main story of Horizon. So I think that's another big risk here too. So
yeah.
we'll see.
Wholeheartedly agree with you.
We'll see. We will certainly cover it when they show it. Which I mean, at this point, Sony needs to fucking show something soon because God of War's out, and the next game we know about is Call of the Mountain, I guess, and then maybe Spider Man. We don't know shit about their lineup, dude.
Oh yeah,
Right
you're
now,
right.
yeah, it's fucking wild. So, all right, let's move on. I actually just added this because I remembered it while we were talking. Is October NPD numbers. So let's go through this real quick. I'm kind of gonna change this up the way I do this. I usually read like everything out exactly. And I think I'm just gonna more read the general kind of number range and then the percent changes for this. So for October 2022, total video game sales. This is actually funny. October 2021 and 22 had the exact same sales number of 4.271 billion. So they were flat year over year. And then video game content. So this is like full game microtransactions, digital physical sales, etc. 43.7 billion over 43.6 last year. So that's a 2% increase. And then video game hardware, 424 million this year versus 468 last year, down 10%. And then video game accessories, 148 million this year versus 161 million last year. That's an 8% decrease. So we're continuing to see the trend of flat to negative, but it seems like we may be coming out of that negative period potentially here. So we will see over the next coming months. For the year, total video game sales are down 7% for the year, and then they're down overall for all these other categories as well. So still down year over year. And then top 20 games for October 2022 in the U.S. So number 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Number 2, Gotham Knights. Number 3, FIFA 23. Number 4, Madden NFL 23. Number 5, NHL 23. Number 6, Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Number 7, Persona 5. What the fuck? Number 8, NBA 2K 23. Number 9, Bayonetta 3. Number 10, Elden Ring. Number 11, Mario Kart 8. Number 12, Splatoon 3. Number 13, Minecraft. Number 14, Star Ocean: The Divine Force. Number 15, Grounded. Number 16, Dragon Ball: The Breakers. Number 17, PGA Tour 2K23. Number 18, Nintendo Switch Sports. Number 19, Nier Automata. And then number 20, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. All right, Montrell, anything jump out to you there?
Oh, yeah. Persona 5? Did they do a re-release
So,
or something?
Persona 5, Grounded, and then Nier Automata. What the fuck? This is completely random. And Persona 5 was number 7 on the list, and it was ranked 291 last month. Like did they was this the Switch release?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They released the Switch version in October, didn't they? Let me check.
People really love their fucking people who buy the Switch. I got it. Y'all like PC people. Y'all will wait until it come out and then y'all buy it. That's crazy to me. But hey, to each his own.
Yep. Wait, hold on. No, hold on a second. October 21st. Yep. Is when it came out on Switch. So it actually came out on Switch, PS5, Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, and PC all on October 21st. So that's why it's charting. It came out on a ton of different platforms. So still though, dude, it fucking outsold it outsold Bayonetta 3. Oh, that's fucking insane. I mean, I know it's like Bayonetta's only on Nintendo, but come on, man, that's fucking wild. Like that's crazy.
I mean, it is Persona. People love Persona, bro.
What about Nier? Did Nier also come out on Switch in October?
Yeah, but that was like years. I thought not years ago, but I thought it was like months ago.
No, Nier I think it didn't come out on Switch until recently. Let's see. Switch version. I can't see. Yeah, October 6th. It came out on October 6th.
Okay, well that makes sense then.
So
I thought maybe they announced it and I just like already got the game, so I don't really care.
That's crazy though. Nier also jumping up that high, like that's fucking nuts, dude. Nier Automata is like
that actually paints a picture. I mean, we always talk about it, bro, but
yeah, Nintendo
that actually paints that actually paints a picture of how many Switches are out there in the wild. That's insane.
I mean, it's 125 million at this point, dude. Something like that, I think. So yeah, that's insane, I mean, the power of Nintendo is fucking strong, dude. I mean, we talk about this every time we talk about MPD, but dude, number 6, 7, 9. So sorry, Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope is 6. Persona 5 is 7. Bayonetta 3 is 9. Mario Kart 8 is 11. Splatoon 3 is 12. Let's see, keep going here. Nintendo Switch Sports 18. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at 20. That's like 7 or 8 games. Oh, and then Nier Automata as well. So yeah, eight games that either are exclusive to Switch or just released on Switch charting. It's like you said, man, the power of Nintendo here is fucking nuts with their stuff. So I will say Gotham Knights at 2, definitely a big surprise for sure. Power of the Batman IP is showing up there for sure. That game is bad reviews. The 30 frame situation. I mean, the graphical comparisons to Arkham Knight are embarrassing. So the fact that game sold this well is interesting for sure.
I think that's the power, like you said, of Batman IP.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing plenty of people who are just like, this was not worth it. But then
Right.
I'm seeing people who are like, yo, I'm loving the game.
Yeah.
They're on for both sides.
And then shout out to Star Ocean, the Divine Force at 14.
Yeah, I've heard the game is actually really good, or decent. It's not Star Ocean 5.
Well, I heard it's the
that,
best since 3.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
that is actually saying something in my opinion, because 4, which is The Last Hope, that
was
is
good.
actually a really good RPG from a gameplay standpoint. Like the combat in that game is excellent. The story is fucking horrific though. So like straight up horrific. But it's still overall like a really good game. So that is actually saying something that this game is better than that potentially. So in my opinion, but yeah, 5. I mean, I think they could have farted anything out and it probably would have been better than 5 from what I've seen of it. So, so yeah, but all right. Dragon Ball The Breakers, by the way, isn't that like multiplayer game where you're like running away from Cell or something?
Yeah, that's the Dead by Daylight
Yeah.
knockoff, Dragon Ball Z spinoff or copy.
That's really funny. I wonder if it's any good.
I've heard people say they love playing it. I mean, I think it's an interesting spin on Dragon Ball. Like
it
you're
is
just running from the
for a
villains,
Dragon Ball game for sure, dude.
Yeah,
For sure.
So I'm not hating on it.
Yeah. All right, Macho, let's move on. So The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. There's been a next gen version in development for a fucking long time, and it is finally coming. CD Projekt just announced that it is coming on December 14th, finally. So it is actually releasing this year, and that is soon. That is within a month. Montreal, you're going to revisit this game on next gen.
Yes.
You think so?
I definitely am. My biggest regret when I was playing it 2 years ago or a year ago was I had it stuck on the Xbox, and I my PC at the time could handle The Witcher, but I just didn't feel like buying it again. Yeah. And I was already so deep invested.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that I have like a Series X and everything and the PlayStation 5, and the upgrade is free for people who already have the game.
Yep.
So I am ecstatic to play it. I'm gonna play it at 60 frames. I know they probably gonna have 2 modes, like a performance mode and fidelity mode. I'm gonna play it, performance mode. I really want to play it with your 60 frames and everything of that nature. And yeah, I can't wait for it. Like,
yeah,
I genuinely can't wait for it. I can't wait to play it. So
I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know. I kind of want to revisit it for sure, because I never played the DLCs. I played about half of what's it called, Blood and Stone, I think, or no, that's Blood and Wine is the second DLC. The first DLC, Hearts of Stone, I think, yeah. The first DLC, I played about half of that, and then I think I never touched Blood and Wine, which is like a massive, expansion to the game. So I want to do that at the very least. I don't know if I'm up for a full playthrough of this game, but goddamn, The Witcher 3 is so fucking good. Maybe. It may not be a full completionist playthrough the way I did the last time I played the game, where I fucking platinumed it and went to like every question mark on the entire fucking game map. But I may just focus on quests and stuff. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Like I said, I want to play Elden Ring after what I'm playing currently. So I don't know if I'm going to get to it right away, but maybe early next year in like January or something. For sure. I think, because I don't remember playing this game on PS4. Like it ran pretty well on console. Like I don't think it ran poorly or anything like that. But the idea of playing this in 60 frames at like 1440p or the checkered 4K, like I'm sure this game's gonna look fucking gorgeous. So I may check it out as well. So that's cool that's coming finally though. All right, Montreal, that's it for news. That's all we have for news this week. So let us get into our topic here. So we had a topic written down. This is something that's been going on kind of online. The Game Awards nominees were announced this week, and we're not going to go through all of them, but specifically the one that jumped out that everybody's been talking about is Elden Ring is under the best narrative category. And I kind of wanted to talk about this because there's a lot of debate about whether this is deserved or not. You know, like, does this game have a narrative to, um, put it in this category with some of these other games that, probably have more truly good narratives, but what do you think about that?
Uh, man, that is a hard one because the story is there if you seek it out,
Yeah.
connect all the dots.
Yeah.
It's definitely there.
But it's
It's
not a
more
straight
presented.
narrative, right? Like you would
Yes,
typically,
I would say though, out of all the Dark Souls, Soulsborne, and know what, it's second. Sekiro has a pretty straightforward story.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of hidden things in Sekiro that you can learn.
Hmm.
Um, this one is second to that one.
Yeah.
Uh, it's not a straightforward story, but the story is there is a goal. You don't just wake up and then someone tosses you a key and you gotta break out of a cell or some shit. Like, there is a goal. There are people that talk to you.
Hmm.
There are NPCs that talk to you and give you story. If you connect the dots, you can connect the dots pretty well.
Hmm.
Way better than, in my opinion, like Dark Souls or especially Bloodborne
Yeah.
or yeah, Demon Souls as well. Uh, yeah, I think they did a really good job at doing that as far as that.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess I can see thinking about it more as I'm replaying the game in my head. The narrative is more structured, better. However, I think that's in the realm of the Soulsborne realm. Like it's a better structured game for sure, story wise. Definitely one of the tops as far as like story wise in the Soulsborne franchise.
Hmm.
Everything else though, hell no, no. You can't play this game and then come out with like, I understand everything that happened. I understand the basis of the game. No, you can't do that. Like I beat the game. I'm like, oh, oh, let me go to Baptiste on YouTube and hope he
Yeah.
breaks it down for me. So
He could probably lie to
uh,
you and, like, you'd be like, "Wow, man, Elden Ring's that's the story of Elden Ring. Oh my god." It's like, I feel like that's
yeah, he probably can. But he actually does a really good job. I'm glad he has integrity because he does
yeah.
a good job
Yeah.
breaking it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Um, all the lore tidbits and everything. Now, once he breaks it down, in my opinion, and then you realize why certain items are placed in certain places and enemies are placed in certain places and everything like that from a narrative perspective,
Hmm.
then you like, oh wow, this
Yeah.
shit is deep,
Yeah.
but you have to go out and look for it. So it's one of those things where it's like I guess it's in the eye of the beholder. For me, once I learned certain things and I read certain things and I understood why enemies were doing certain things and everything of that nature, I'm like, whoa, this shit, especially like with Dark Souls and shit like that. I was like, yo, this story is
Hmm.
fucking crazy. Like this is a really good fucking story.
Mm.
Um, but I can understand if someone walks away and they just didn't put in the effort. And they're like, yo, the game is good, but the story is fucking ass, bro. Like, I didn't know why I was fighting these monsters or anything like fucking in that nature. And Elden Ring, unfortunately, even though everything's a little bit more straightforward, it's still a lot of vagueness in it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, so I mean, the I think the thing is, like, the main debate, right, is that does like the way Elden Ring do storytelling, is that a narrative, right? Like, is it deserving of the nomination for best narrative? I think first thing I want to say about this is this whole debate is fucking silly because the Game Awards fucking does this every year where there is a game that is pretty much clearly going to win game of the year and then it's in every fucking category. Like,
Yep.
it doesn't matter whether it deserves to be or not. So, like, it's it's like such a silly. I don't know why everybody got such a fucking crazy tizzy about this, that like the Game Awards is some like super integrity filled fucking like award program. It's like, come on, guys, like, fuck, calm the fuck down. Like, but second thing I want to say about this is, yeah, sure, Elden Ring, like the way Elden Ring and Dark Souls in general from Software does their story delivery in their games is I don't know if I would use the word narrative, but to be nominated for the category, I think is justified for sure. Like it's like there's a delivery of a story there, and like you're saying, it's actually really intricate and deep if you want to find it. They're
Yeah,
just giving you that option. It's not in
yeah.
your face. You don't have to experience it if you don't want to.
Yep.
So I think certainly that is like, honestly, it's kind of almost like an innovative style of doing things. It's kind of the way Destiny tried to do it, but way, 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 way better than anything
Yeah,
Destiny ever did with their.
what's funny was Destiny is they actually copied the style of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
You know, which is funny because that same YouTuber I just mentioned, he does Destiny lore videos as well.
Oh, that's
Or
funny as hell.
or is a guy who sounds exactly like him, like
Yeah.
dead ass sounds exactly
Mhm.
who does it in the exact same style of Destiny lore videos. Which is like too, like, Destiny has that same style, where everything is super deep, uh in the reasons why enemies are in certain places and things of that nature, and why
Mhm.
they look certain things and everything of that nature. So um I actually think it's really cool that I was against it at first at the beginning. Like, we're doing pre-show, production of the show right here. Hey, I guess I can call it that. Hey, look at that. Look at us moving on up. We were doing pre-production of the show. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, I was like scoffing at it because while I love the narrative that they paint and everything like that, is you have to go look for it. Um, but I guess that's really cool that they gave a nomination because it's putting a spotlight on this type of storytelling
Yeah.
that players actually really love, and that we're not stupid. Like, I feel like a lot of developers feel like we're stupid
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
far as like storytelling and everything like that. And if you give people the keys, they will go search for it. They will go
Yeah.
look for it. And this game does that. If
Mhm.
you go out your way, and it's like the dumbest shit too. It'll be like a coin on a dead body way in a forest somewhere that you just so happen to stumble upon, and
Yeah.
that coin doesn't do anything, but it has a lot of lore attached to it, and
It's
it's
like
like,
environmental
yeah,
storytelling. Like The
yeah,
Last of Us is
exactly,
super heavy on this kind of shit. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But they do it way better, in my opinion, than The Last of Us, or they do it more cryptically than The
Yeah,
Last
it's
of Us. The
not as in
Last
your
of Us,
face. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The Last of Us still weaves in that traditional
Well, you're like
storytelling with
picking
it.
up notes that are like written out, like you can read it and you get it. It's not like there's not a hidden meaning behind it. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, like, in this game, everything's environmental storytelling. There are people walking around with statues on their heads, and you're like, why are they doing that? And there's a whole lore bit about why these enemies are walking around with statues on their heads, or
Hmm.
why are they corrupted this way, or why does one person only have a left arm when you fight them, or something like that, or
Yeah.
the dark spirits invade you that look like regular players, or they're actually like NPCs that have story and lore tied to them, and the reason they're named the way they are named and everything. So, I mean, it is a really cool thing. I'm glad it's getting the spotlight for that. My whole fear is I don't want everybody to start copying the style because, like you said, even though I love Destiny's lore, they implement it in the worst way possible, like the most terrible way possible. You have to go to
Yeah.
the website, you have to
Oh
compare
yeah.
this and that. I
Oh,
was
we're
just
talking
like,
the
bro,
original Destiny, by the
the
way.
original
I'm
Destiny,
sure
yeah, the
Destiny
original
2
Destiny,
is fucking yeah. The fact that it needs a guy on YouTube to explain the lore, maybe that says what you need to know. But you say the same thing
yeah,
about Elden Ring, so
yeah, exactly. Um, I don't know. Like I said, it's up in the air for debate.
Mhm.
Some people consider this style of storytelling completely fucking ass, and I completely understand. And then some people consider this a genius, and which I completely understand. I'm in the middle. Like, it's
Yeah.
there if I want to do it, and it's there
Yeah.
if I don't want to do it. So
Yeah. And yeah, I think it depends on the game, right? Like if I'm into the game
exactly,
enough, then I'll go seek it out. If I'm not, then I
exactly.
won't. Like Elden Ring,
Yep.
I'm I don't I don't think I'm going to be into it enough to go seek it out, but who knows? I don't know. I got to play the game. So,
Yeah,
um
I mean, because you ever play a game and you're like, I like God of War does this, for instance, right? There would be certain areas in God of War where I'm like, wow, what the fuck happened here? Like,
yeah.
this is really interesting, and there's
Yeah.
just no lore behind it; it's just there.
Right.
But like in
I know
Elden,
what you mean. Yeah, totally,
yeah,
dude. Yeah. No, and I mean
but
like
like
The
in
Last of Us has that too, right? Like where there's
yeah,
like it's
exactly.
actually
You
even
come
worse in
across
that game because everything has a story behind it if they wanted it to, you know.
exactly. And it's like,
And
yeah, like
yeah,
there may have been a big battle that took taking place here.
right.
Like a lot of games don't do that; they just leave dead bodies or something like that because like you're in the aftermath of a battle or something like that. But
Yeah.
like Elden Ring or
Yeah.
Dark Souls, they'll do that where you come across a whole fleet of dead bodies, and you're like, and it's not just like a shock value. It's like, no, this is an actual lore piece. Like why? Like in Dark Souls 3, for instance, right? There's this arena area where these people they call themselves the hunters. I think they're called the hunters. Fuck, I forgot their name. Don't kill me, y'all. But they fight each other like to the death all the time.
Yeah.
And you actually go into that boss fight and you fight like three of them. You fought one of them, then another one pops up, then another one pops up, then another one pops up. And it's all to do with like the worship of this one knight called the Taurus. That's from Dark Souls 1. And they made a cult out of that guy, out of that figure, because he went into the abyss and all that, blah 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 blah. But I thought that was just really fucking cool. Like they made a whole lore out of that shit, and like that's just so fucking dope to me. Whereas like you may run into that like in The Last of Us, you come across like some dead bodies or even zombies in weird places, and you're like, how the fuck did you get locked behind that room? You know what I'm saying? And they're like, there's
Yeah.
no lore behind it. There's there, just a jump scare, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
All right, well, whatever.
Well, there's like a moment in The Last of Us Part 2. I actually like, dude, this is like a really, in my opinion, this is why I like this game, that like that game so much is when you're exploring some of the side areas. There's a section of the game where there's like an apartment building and there's two, you have to go in through the basement. You can't get in through the front door. And you have to like go into the basement and then go up the stairs and you're on the first floor. There's really nothing in the first floor. You go upstairs and there's two apartments
Mhm.
and you can get in both. One of them's got a locked door and the other doesn't. And the one with the locked door, you have to like go outside and go through the window and go in that way, right? And that one was cool because it was like clearly like a couple was living there. They don't live there anymore, but they were living there and they were trying to survive there or whatever. And there's some lore bits there, but then you go into the other one and it's empty. There's like, it's like it's actually looks very well kept. And there's nobody in there. And there's some stuff, obviously, it's there's like furniture and shit, and there's stuff you can scavenge and whatnot. But there's also a workbench in there. And when you go into the workbench, you start working on your shit, and a
Oh
fucking
yeah,
you remember this part where
yeah. I remember the part.
a fucking enemy attacks you, and it's just like one of the wolves, that you've been fighting all game, and it's like a whole squad of them. There's like four of them in there, and they were hiding in the bathroom, which that alone is cool that they like had this ambush set up. And you end up killing all of them, and it's just a normal encounter. But then you start going around the room afterwards, and you read these notes, and like they were notes from them that like they were trying to leave Seattle. Like they weren't. They were deserters of the wolves, and it's like, and
Mm,
it makes you feel fucked up. Like, dude, like fuck, dude. Like, if I had known that, I wouldn't have fucking killed you guys. And I think Ellie literally says that. You know, like she's like,
yeah,
fuck. Like if you hadn't just jumped me, like, and we could have talked, I wouldn't have fucking. This wouldn't have happened. It's like that to me is like really cool environment, like a combination of gameplay and environmental storytelling.
yeah,
So, but yeah, and I think the stuff that From does with their games is actually, to me, is really cool. And I love that they know what their fans want. Their fans don't want a traditional narrative,
yeah. This
they
is
just
definitely a
they don't.
fanfare.
So
They definitely feed their fans what they want.
yeah,
And I appreciate that from them, even with like their offshoot games like Sekiro and everything like that. It's more of a straightforward narrative and everything like that. But
yeah,
uh, even that game has like a whole bunch of lore and stuff like that that we probably don't know about and everything. So
yeah.
I don't
Um,
know. It's really cool.
yeah. So I just want to talk about the Game of the Year nominees real quick. I do want to give a shout out to the Game Awards. I'm gonna guess Keeley is a big Xenoblade fan because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is in the Game of the Year nominees.
Which I got a lot of pushback.
Interesting. For what reason? I mean, I would
People
push
don't
back on it too, personally, because I don't think it's
people
that good
don't
of a
feel like
game.
it deserves to be there.
Okay. Because I agree with that. I don't think it deserves to be there. I really don't think it's up to. It's not up to the some of the other games in the series. But Any other categories you want to talk about here?
Uh,
Stick
I,
with
I,
team?
I don't know. It was pretty weird. One of the categories that I didn't like was the fighting game category.
Oh yeah, I
They
was
had
gonna yeah
Sifu in there, and I didn't understand why they had Sifu in there at
yeah
all.
yeah
Don't get me wrong, y'all. I love Sifu. I thought it was a phenomenal game. I just don't feel like it's a fighting game. It should be an action game, which now I think it is in the action game tier list.
hmm
I just saw it there, but it's still in the best fighting game as well. I don't feel like it's a best fighting game. Yeah, it's still a fighting game. I don't feel like it's a fighting game at all.
yeah.
So I'm kind of upset about that one. But besides that, I think the actual uh list and everything, they're kind of spread out, and I kind of like that. Like a lot of games here. It's not just Call of Duty everywhere and all that other shit like that. It's like it's some good categories here.
Yeah, yeah,
And hopefully, like a lot of these get good screen time, and not just like well, this Jeff Keighley's talking and it pops up on the side of the screen. Like like go all out for some of these categories. I understand you can't do it for every category, but
yeah.
I'm kind of glad like a lot of things are represented and everything like that. So,
Are
um,
you gonna watch this live or?
I'm probably gonna be at work when it comes out because they show it at weird times.
They do it at night usually.
They do it at night. Last year they did it like during the workday. It was really weird.
Really? Did they?
Yeah,
Okay, that is
yeah.
weird. Because it's presented
Um,
like a fucking TV awards show, so and those are like prime time things, you know.
yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna watch if it comes out at night. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it live. I'm probably gonna skip the music sections because I hate when even at award shows, I hate when they do the musical guest and shit like that.
hmm
That shit irritates me.
hmm
Um, but yeah, I'll definitely watch it for sure.
Do you think we're gonna get a lot of announcements? I do.
I hope so.
I
I
think the
hope so.
industry has been really, really fucking quiet the last 6 months,
Yeah,
like
it has
conspicuously
been.
so.
It's conspicuously
Well,
quiet. Yeah,
dude. Like I was talking about Sony earlier, but think about in general, dude. Do we know a lot of what's coming out after like April of next year?
actually, they usually do a showcase around this time of year.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I'm just like, but like even like Nintendo, Xbox, third parties, like, dude, do we know a lot coming out after April? Like, not really.
No, we don't.
Like,
We don't actually.
things haven't even been announced. You know, like there aren't even games that are like TBA. You know, like or like like that. Like we know they exist, but the release date's coming. Like there aren't even a lot of games like that right now. You know, so I feel like I don't know. Just it's kind of weird right now. Sony in particular is like super fucking quiet because there was rumors of last month they were going to do a state of play, and they didn't. And the speculation is that it was because of the Microsoft deal. They didn't want to show a bunch of exclusives when they're complaining about Xbox making Call of Duty exclusive. You know,
Hmm.
so I mean, Sony's got to say something soon, dude. Like we know about 3 games that are coming out. You know, like we know Call of the Mountain next year, and then we know Spider-Man is probably late next year, and then Wolverine is probably late 2024. That's like all we know. And then I guess Factions, but they haven't given us a release window for that. So it might be next year. It might not be till 2024. It's just like like dude, like what's going on right now? So I don't know. I'm hoping to see a lot here for sure. So we'll see.
Yeah,
All right. Did you want to talk about you wanted to talk about the donkey thing real quick, right?
yeah. But we're already at 2 hours, so
Okay, we can skip
we
it.
could
I
probably
don't
save
even
it for
remember what it
next
was
week.
about. So,
It was
um,
it was about janking video games and everything like that.
mm, mm, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
If you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to.
yeah. We could
Um,
talk about it later.
okay. All right. So that is going to be it for us, guys. We are done for this week. And just a reminder again, like I said at the top, we are not going to be recording and posting an episode next week. We are taking a break for the holiday. And we will be back in 2 weeks with your normally scheduled episode with 2 weeks of news. And, actually, I don't know when. Will the Game Awards have happened by that point? No, they happen early to mid December, right? So that's probably a few weeks from now. So we'll have stuff to talk about surely. So, but all right. If you like this episode, please like the episode, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you are listening to it on. And please, please share it with your friends. If you want to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that's it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you in 2 weeks.